Welcome to Live Better Longer. I'm your host, Bill Borton. My guest this week is my friend and client, Ford Myers. Ford is an award-winning career coach and a certified retirement coach. His firm, Career Potential, helps clients get the careers they deserve, the money they want, and a life of fulfillment and achievement. He's the author of 2 books, How to Get the Job You Want Even When No One's Hiring, and The Ultimate Career Guide. Ford, welcome.
Thanks, Bill. Good to see you again.
By all means, pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So Ford, you've been a well-established career coach for years, but you more recently decided to become a certified retirement coach. Tell me about why you did that and why you've committed yourself to that path.
Okay, good question. Well, as you said, I've been a career coach for many, many years. But in the last several years, I noticed a trend happening. People were wanting to come in and talk about retirement planning almost as much as they wanted to talk about their career planning. And so I started asking the question, why is this? How come this is happening all of a sudden? And I thought there might be several possibilities. Is it that I'm getting older, so I'm just attracting an older demographic of client? Is it because there's a little bit more education and awareness in the marketplace, so people are starting to ask questions about retirement that they might not have thought about before? Is it because with the growing stock market, people have a little bit more money, they have more complex questions to ask about retirement, they have other options to consider? So I didn't really know what the answer was, but intuitively, I thought it was probably a combination of these factors. But one way or another, I saw a need, and I wanted to fulfill that need. And I think there's really a market out there for people who need help to navigate through the complex questions of retirement planning.
So when you talk about retirement planning, you're not talking about financial planning, you're talking about the life aspect of
That's
retirement
right.
planning.
In fact, I would say that a retirement coach specializes in everything except the financial side of retirement. When financial questions come up, of course, I will refer them on to an expert, whether it's a financial planner, an insurance expert. I can answer some very fundamental questions, but it's really not the role of a retirement coach to give financial advice.
So I heard you, thinking about all the reasons why, you might be attracting more people. I think a lot of it has to do with you, Ford, and as you say, your chronological advancement. And so I think you're probably attracting more people that are more closely your peers as far as their years on Earth. And so you've also, I know from some of our conversations, been thinking more about what retirement might look like.
Well, that's right. And it's the old saying, we attract what we think about.
Correct.
And so I have been pondering my own next phase of life, and because I'm thinking a lot about that, it gets other people, I suppose, interested in the same conversation just by osmosis. And in addition, I've done a lot of study, a lot of reading, a lot of thought about this. And so I've engaged in a lot of interesting conversations with other people, even outside of the retirement business.
I know you recently published and shared with me an article you wrote about this subject, and you listed quite a bibliography of articles and books.
Yeah.
And I know you know well enough to know you read them all.
I've read them all. In fact, I just got another book yesterday, which I'm very excited to delve into. But the article I wrote, which is titled Retirement, A Natural Evolution of Career Development, see, that's kind of a theme that I'm following. Let me put it this way. I've been a career coach, as you know, for more than 25 years. I've also been a certified executive coach, and now moving more into the field of retirement coaching. And so the way I look at it, career coaching is about direction. Executive coaching is about performance. Retirement coaching is about legacy. And so I've developed what I call full life cycle coaching. A person can start with me early in their career, finish up as they're planning and entering into retirement, and that's what I mean by full life cycle coaching.
Now, I know you told me you were planning on slowing down at 65 and stopping at 70, but that seems to contradict what you just said.
Well, this whole thing needs to be tempered, okay? It needs to be adjusted in such a way that I don't overdo it. In other words, I'm sticking to my own retirement plan.
Okay.
I'm going to do this work in a way that is manageable and healthy, and I'm not going to put myself through undue stress as I get older.
I'll hold you to that, all right?
Thank you.
So we've talked a little bit about the personal aspects about this. What about the business aspects? Did you see that there was an opportunity here for you to do well by doing good?
Well, that's a good question. Of course. Look, I think it's common sense that there's a need for retirement coaching. People have always had access to financial advice, but they haven't had access really to the other questions that come up and surround the retirement issue, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's definitely a market need. People have become more sophisticated, a little bit more aware. They have more complex questions to ask. They need help to navigate through those kinds of questions. Mm-hmm. And there's also a great demographic shift in the United States. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, we have an aging population. It's what some people call the graying of America. Mm-hmm. And so as people are older and many, many more people are retiring, for example, over the next 10 years, there will be 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day, or if not retiring, at least heading into retirement.
Turning 65.
Turning 65.
Yes.
And most of them will be heading into retirement.
And most of them haven't planned.
That's
and
right.
Most of them, many of them, haven't had careers that were fulfilling, and so they're looking to finally get to that point when either they have to leave or they can leave to get away from something. But
Well,
I know you talk about wanting to retire to something.
Exactly right.
Now, I'd like to talk to you more about that, but right now we're going to take a break from a word from our sponsors. This is Bill Borton. We'll be back with Ford Myers in a moment.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
I'm Casey Price, host of a brand new show on RVN TV called Justice for All. Tune in every Tuesday at 1 p.m. as some of South Jersey's amazing attorneys share their stories and important legal information that could affect you and the people you love. Remember, that's in Justice for All every Tuesday at 1 p.m. only on RVN TV.
Is your business growing and now you need a new and bigger building? Has your organization outgrown their facility and now it's time to expand?
Do your hobbies require the need for more space?
If you're paying rent, but now you want the advantages of owning, the prospect of financing, construction, and on-time completion may seem out of your reach. General Steel Corporation has the answer. A pre-engineered steel building from the General will not only look great and satisfy almost any need, but you'll save time and money. Our team will help you create your building and deliver it to your location. We offer design services to help you present your concept to board members, bankers, or for fundraising. And the General can even help with financing. General Steel is a name you know, with quality backed by a 50-year structural warranty. Call today and find out how easy it is to have the building you want. You may even save up to $20,000 with rebates. If you need space, you need the General.
Welcome back to Live Better Longer. I'm your host, Bill Borton, here with my friend and client, Ford Myers from Career Potential. Ford, before the break, you were talking about the graying of America, and you mentioned that every day 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65. And one of the things that we didn't talk about is how many have already gone past 65.
Right.
They're now facing required minimum distributions from their IRAs because the oldest ones are 71. So, but you had some other thoughts you wanted to share about that.
Yes. So with all these people heading into retirement, the good news is that many of them, not all, but many of them have done well with their investments. Stock market has been up in recent years. So many of them have choices. They have options that might not have existed before. Mm-hmm. That's the good news. The bad news is that there's still a terrible lack of understanding and awareness about the larger issues surrounding retirement. In other words, people have typically asked one basic question, which is, do I have enough money to retire? Well, that's an important consideration, but it's not the only consideration.
And that's not an easy question to answer.
No, it's not. That in itself is very complex. But then you add in all the other layers, the kinds of subjects that retirement coaches deal with. Let me just give you a very short list of a couple factors that people should consider as they're heading into retirement. There's the replacement of work identity. There is health and wellness, passions and interests, family connections, lifestyle and relocation, relationships and community, leisure, personal development, spiritual practice, purpose and meaning. These are the kinds of conversations we get into with retirement clients. Some of them feel a little bit overwhelmed at the beginning when they start to talk about these subjects, but very quickly what happens is their mind opens up to the possibilities, and they begin to create a vision of where they want their retirement to go. So instead of feeling stuck, instead of not even knowing what questions to ask, now suddenly they're having a productive conversation that can really lead them to a better place.
That's really interesting that you say that. And I collaborate with quite a number of financial advisors with the work that I do with my clients around risk management and income planning.
Right.
And a lot of the people that are really good at managing portfolios and helping clients with financial planning aren't really very good at having these kinds of conversations.
No, they're not. And to your point, I've been lucky to begin collaborating, having almost like referral or cooperative relationships with estate attorneys, financial planners, insurance experts. There's a need for this, and they know it. The smart person in the niches that you just mentioned, they might recognize that this is really not their specialty, and they need someone like me or perhaps another retirement coach that they can refer to help their clients achieve their goals.
Collaboration and specialization, or
Right.
collaboration among specialists, is becoming more and more imperative.
Absolutely.
Although there's a lot of people that are kind of lagging in those areas.
Right. There's also another big shift in American demographics, which is that people are living a lot longer. So it's not just more people turning 65. It's also the fact that people are going to be living 10, 20, 30 or more years in retirement.
This is a major challenge for the financial planning industry because they have to make assumptions. And if you don't know when your client and or his or her spouse is going to die,
Right.
it's a little hard to figure that out.
That's exactly right.
And consequently, the biggest fear from all the studies that baby boomers have is outliving their money.
That's exactly right. Retirement used to either be a non-concept, like our grandfather's day or our father's day. It was either a concept that was never talked about, or it was a short experience that lasted a year or two until the person passed away. Now you're looking at 20, 30 years. There have been advancements in healthcare, advancements in technology. That's only going to continue to expand. So what's the person going to do for 35, 40 years? Are they just going to hope to fill their time watching television? Or are they going to have a retirement of meaning and purpose? Is it going to be a rich phase of their life, or is it going to be an ending? As you said earlier, are people going to retire from something, or are they going to retire to something that could be truly meaningful?
So for the average individual, and I know you're not average, but for the average individual to try and begin to figure all of this stuff out, particularly if they don't have the resources or the wherewithal to hire a retirement coach, what resources are available out there these days?
Well, we talked about retirement coaching. I think that's a major resource that many people should take advantage of. But in addition to that, even if people don't take advantage of retirement coaching, I still think that the field, this developing field of retirement coaching, is having a positive impact. For example, all the research, all the writing, the webinars, the television shows, the interviews that are being disseminated about retirement, I think it's having a positive impact. People are starting to open their eyes. They're starting to see what's possible. And in addition to that, of course, there are many, many other resources. Start with something very fundamental like AARP, the American Association of Retired Persons. Since the 1950s, this has been a very rich resource. In addition to that, there are lifestyle and living opportunities now for people in retirement that never existed before. Think of all the different ways that people can live now in retirement. You have, it's not just the old, old age homes as we used to call it in the old days. Now there are assisted living centers, adult daycare. There's CCRCs out there in the marketplace. There are retirement villages, like Beacon Village in Boston, for example, and many others that are spreading around the
The
country.
villages down in the Orlando area of Florida is just growing like weeds.
Exactly. So in addition to that, many companies and social service agencies have discovered this growing demographic of retired people. So there's new companies, new products, new services specifically meant for these folks, whether it's travel, entertainment, healthcare. I mentioned living opportunities and architectural opportunities. There are just so many different ways, so many new products, so many services that people can take advantage of in their retirement years.
So do you see people doing anything about this, or are they just talking about it?
Well, it's a mixture. It's a growing awareness. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I absolutely see changes for the better. Yes, people are taking action, they're getting help, they're asking better questions, they're getting more support, and it's really beginning to be a better, healthier picture for retired people.
Interesting. Well, we're going to take another break for a word from our sponsors. We'll be back in a moment with more with Ford Myers. I'm Bill Borton, your host.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to jumpstart sales.
Build attendance for an event.
Help people find their way. Fast Signs designed new directional signage.
And got them back on track. Get started at fastsigns.com.
Hi, I'm Sylvia, the wine entrepreneur, host of a brand new show called Cooked and Uncorked on RVN TV. Every week at noon on Wednesday, we're going to introduce a brand new wine or spirit with a different chef and their cuisine. It's going to be an exciting way to learn how to pair your food, to sip wine from around the world, and to have a good time. Be there or you might miss your next great wine or your next great meal.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back to Live Better Longer. I'm your host, Bill Borton, here with Ford Myers. So Ford, I'm sure some of our viewers are going to want to contact you to find out more about retirement coaching. So tell me, how will people find you or reach you?
Thank you, Bill. The people can reach me through my website, which is careerpotential.com, careerpotential.com. All my contact information is there.
Okay.
Also, if people want to contact me via email, which is contact@careerpotential.com, that's contact@careerpotential.com. If they contact me through email, I will send them for free a copy of my article that I mentioned earlier, plus a list of the best books on retirement that are available out there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ford.
It's my pleasure.
Hopefully you'll get a lot of people reaching out to you.
My pleasure.
So Ford, let me be direct. I mean, I've known you.
You're always direct, Bill.
Well, yeah, but you give me that opportunity.
Okay.
I've known you for quite some time, and we are friends, and you are a client of mine. But what makes you so confident that you're the right guy for people to talk to? I mean, why you and why not somebody else?
Okay, that's a fair question. First of all, as I mentioned, I've been a coach now for more than 25 years. Career coaching, executive coaching, now in the field of retirement coaching. I'm able to take those same skills that I've developed and refined and apply them into the retirement space. So that's important. As you know, and as you mentioned earlier, I take this very seriously. I've read just about every book in the marketplace. I've written 2 articles already on the subject, which have been published. In addition, I went through the premier training and certification program in retirement coaching, which was pretty rigorous. It was not a walk in the park.
I'm familiar with it.
So it was a good experience, and I learned an awful lot. So these are some of the reasons. I think it's this seamless integration of the career coaching to the retirement coaching, because I see retirement as the next logical step in a person's evolution. See, people are divided up, I think, into 3 major phases, if you want to really break it down and make it simple. Number 1, there's the youth and education phase of your life. Then there's the career and work phase of your life. and now we're moving into the retirement phase of your life. I see it as a seamless process. People need to look at retirement not as a one-time event, but as an evolutionary process.
Well, speaking of that, there's a number of folks who, I'm not sure exactly who coined the phrase, but they talk about the 3 phases of retirement. And it's almost a little tongue-in-cheek, but they talk about the go-go phase, which is where everybody thinks about the cruises, the golf, the visiting with the grandchildren and all that. And then what we call the slow-go phase, where you start to slow down a little bit, your energy level.
Then there's the no-go phase?
And then you get into the no-go phase, which is why people get long-term care insurance and move into CCRCs.
Good point.
So, but the needs change throughout, and the interests and the financial necessities change throughout. So it's not a linear process.
No, it's not. It's an evolution. And as we both agree, this is a very serious time of life, something that needs forethought, it needs planning. You can't just stop your life and hope to fill the next 30 years of your time. This is something that I think in today's world, as we said, it really needs forethought, planning, and I think people will do better if they have a guide to help them through the planning, the navigation of this phase of their life.
Makes all the sense in the world, because how can you plan for a reliable income stream in retirement if you don't know what the income need is going to be, because you don't know what you want to do?
It definitely integrates with the financial side. Absolutely.
So, Ford, help us understand what the process is like. If somebody contacts you and you speak with them and they decide they want to retain you, tell me what that looks like.
Okay, the program I offer is flexible depending on the client's specific needs. Think of it as a 3-phase process. People can take advantage of one phase. They can do phases 1 and 2, or they could do phases 1, 2, and 3. It's flexible. So in phase 1, which lasts 1 month, what we do is we do retirement assessments. These are actual tests or forms that you fill out online, and they're very robust, they're very comprehensive. It gives us evidence, it gives us empirical proof of what the core issues are in a particular individual. So we interpret those results, then we ask important questions, go through a couple of preliminary exercises, get the client moving in the right direction, and that's phase 1. Phase 2, if the client wants to continue, is where we delve deeper, really getting into more finite plans, moving toward a more fully developed vision for retirement, even starting implementation and giving some accountability and support in getting their retirement going, getting some traction on the road, in other words. Phase 3 will be the phase where people can have continuing support and accountability, continuing structure with ongoing coaching, ongoing support and accountability, as I said before. Of course, we would need to adjust and adapt as needed as time goes by to keep the person on track and to make their retirement vision into their retirement reality.
Now, one thing we haven't discussed so far is this limited to individuals, or would this apply to couples?
That's a good question.
And then if it is a couple, what if one of them is more engaged than the other?
Well, the answer is yes and yes. So let me explain. I work primarily with individuals, but there are certainly times when couples want to come in and have a group conversation. It makes perfect sense. But what we would do then is bounce back and forth between group or 3-way conversations and individual conversations.
Of one or both?
Yes. So in other words, I wouldn't do a whole retirement engagement with a couple and see them both every single time. What I would do is see them a couple times together, then see each one individually, and then maybe in the future get them back together again. But it's primarily a one-on-one process, but you can certainly bring in a couple on occasion to put things into the broader family context.
That would make sense. If you tried to do it every time, you might end up with, marriage counseling.
Yeah, I'm not a marital counselor.
And then divorce mediation.
Yeah. No, I don't want to go there.
No, I can understand.
Don't want to go there.
That's great. So Ford, before we wrap, is there anything else that you'd like to share about this big subject, this important subject?
Sure. I would just say this. With the way the world has changed, the way aging has changed, the way work and retirement has changed, the whole subject of retirement has gotten more complex. It's much more complicated than it was in the days of our fathers or grandfathers, or grandparents. And so, like I said before, up until now, people have only known to ask one question: do I have enough money to retire? But there's so much more to it. So I would ask people to be open-minded and to think about all the different layers the different aspects of retirement, and they should understand that help is available if they need support in navigating through those changes.
Well, thank you, Ford. Everyone would be smart to contact you, whether they hire you or not, because I know you have a wealth of knowledge and information and you love to share it. Ford, it's been terrific having you
Thanks,
on Live
Bill.
Better Longer. Thank you
Thanks.
very much
Thanks
for
for
coming.
having me.
And I certainly hope that this next phase of your career and retirement life is as successful as what's come before it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Bill Borton. Until next Tuesday at 11, we'll be back with more Live Better Longer on RVN TV. Thank you.